that. I think that women should be the expert opinion on women's shit. But by that same token, I think men should be the expert opinion on men's shit. So
said by a man who has never been married.
Okay, fair enough. But like, I don't.
Yes, hell has frozen over. If you're watching this is back-to-back episodes of the A.N.A. podcast in 2023. Yes, it is true. It's true. And yeah, I am Alex Mack. With me is my boy
Outside.
Yeah, what's going on, man? All right, so yeah, you last like 2 weeks ago or so, like early in the morning, I get a text hit my phone. Right. And I'm just like, okay, what is this? I thought it was because my wife was in the hospital at the time. And so I'm looking like, okay, what's going on? And then it's like, oh, it's Hood. Okay, it's been a minute. Okay, what's it's 8 in the morning. What's going on? And he's something to the effect of, yo, wrestling. I get it now, or something like that. And I'm groggy. I'm looking at the phone. I'm like, what? It wasn't computing for like a few minutes. It wasn't computing, right? And I'm like, wait, what? Hood talking about wrestling? About WWE? Like, and once that connected, it's just like, why? Why of all times now you get into good old wrestling and like possibly the worst era of wrestling? Now you get into it, but
listen, it might be the worst for y'all. It's the only one for me. So,
oh my Lord, that's heartbreaking. Oh, brother, that's heartbreaking.
Listen. I always had this like passing interest, right? But I had a bedtime, so I was never really allowed to watch it anyway. So on the rare occasion where I would get to glance at it, I would be entertained for like 15, 20 minutes just watching them riff on the mic, you know what I mean? But I usually never got to see any main event fights because those things happen at like 10:30 and whatnot. So, you know, that was a no-go for me.
Right.
But I had one DVD that my boy Cabron let me hold. I think he forgot to get it back because I think I just kept that motherfucker. It was 2003's No Mercy. And this was like the first event thing that I had ever seen. So I think it had like Eddie Guerrero versus Big Show. It had Brock Lesnar versus Undertaker and some I think like a chain match, something like that. It had a couple things on it, a couple good things. It had the Stephanie McMahon, Vince McMahon I Quit match. And I would just watch that back to back because it was like I'm never gonna really get to watch it live. But I lost it. And I never really cared to find it again. And what ended up happening is there's actually this YouTuber named Super Eye Patch Wolf. He had 2 videos about one was like about the culture of wrestling itself, and one was about the story of the Undertaker and why he's such a big deal. And I watched both of them, and I was like, the way he's breaking it down is interesting. Like it's something I could see myself getting into if I had the time or more of an interest. But I didn't. I just left it alone. Fast forward a couple years, I'm on Facebook, and there was an Eddie Guerrero promo. It was like a 6-minute promo. He's hyping up a fight that he's gonna have with Brock Lesnar. He's talking about overcoming his addiction and everything. They had this emotional music behind it and everything like that. And I was like, damn, I'm getting goosebumps. Like, I know this is long since over. Like, whatever happened between them has already happened. But like, I mean, you know, he's dead and everything like that. But I was like, I feel invested. So I hopped on YouTube and I Googled to see if I hopped on YouTube and I searched to see if I could find that particular fight. And I found it. They had the full fight of Eddie versus Brock, whatever fight that was, and he won it. And I was like, I'm feeling something. And it just so happened that I did this on a Monday when wrestling
Raw's on.
Yeah. And I had YouTube TV I got it for the NFL so I could watch that during the season. But since I had YouTube TV, I was getting certain cable channels. So at 8 o'clock, I just saw the Raw banner and I was like, let me just turn this on. And I just said, listen, I just got hooked. And I've been watching I've watched every single one since. I've gone back. I've done some I've done some legacy type things, watch some of the older matches and things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
Started
yeah.
absorbing like biographies and things like that, watching the whole Legends thing where it talks about the people and their careers and everything. I've just really just been absorbing the culture by the last 3 months. I just went live at DC on Friday.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
There was one here.
Mm-hmm.
Nice, nice. I've only been to one. I've been a wrestling fan since I was a little kid. I've only been to one event, and it was amazing. Like that was 2012, I think, at Capital One Arena. Man, it was dope. Everybody was there too. I saw everybody. Yeah, man, I was a kid. No, I was a little kid, But yeah. Well, see, now that you mentioned '03, like that era of wrestling, it's when it started to. It was still high in '03, early 2000s, and then like mid to late 2000s is when it kind of started to fizzle out and just completely tank. But yeah, if you go to like, I would say 97 to like '05 or sometime around then, the absolute best, the absolute peak of wrestling. And it will never, like, it's still living off of, like you said, you saw like the old Eddie Guerrero Brock Lesnar match and the whole like promos and everything that going up. Peak wrestling, okay? It even got you 20 years later. Right? Peak. It will never, it's still living off of like the Attitude Era, that whole like early 2000s era with like DX and NWO, and with Nitro and Raw and the Invasion, and when Vince McMahon actually killed wrestling and bought everything. You know, yeah, it's that the peak. That's why it's like, you're watching wrestling. Like, why? Just it's kind of completely. Well, I mean, I'm not gonna say it's garbage because like the whole Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman thing, um, the Usos, that's pretty cool. Like, I can't deny that. That's pretty dope. Um, AEW is doing something kind of decent there too. So it's if there's these weird instances where wrestling will like flicker to life, like for a hot second, and then it kind of collapses in on itself. But no, that's dope. I would suggest, I would say start at Royal Rumble 98. Like on the Peacock. Do you have Peacock?
I do. That's why I've been watching it.
There's Royal Rumble 98. And just ride that wave. Just ride the wave of like that whole year. It's I still watch promos and stuff from then, because like it's The Rock in his prime, Steve Austin in his prime, Triple H in his prime, Bret Hart in his prime, The Undertaker. You know what I'm saying? It's like all these icons, like Chris Jericho, the Hardy Boys. You know what I mean? It's just like all these massive, like super talented people just coming together at their apex in the same place at the same. Yeah, yeah. I'm telling you, like from that era on, yeah, it will make a fan out of anybody, honestly.
Royal Rumble 98.
Yes, and honestly, all the Raws and stuff from then, like the Raws and SmackDown from then,
Mm-hmm.
can't go wrong. You will absolutely not go wrong with any of that. Like you can watch that entire year. It was just amazing thing after amazing thing after amazing thing. Like the Dog Father, it's just so much stuff. And then Mike Tyson. I think that was that WrestleMania. Mike Tyson had a event with Steve Austin.
I saw a little bit of the promo material for that. I saw when
Yeah,
Steve shoved them in the ring or something like that, and then they got into it.
absolute peak wrestling. And then that's just WWE. And then you go over to WCW with Nitro, and you got the NWO. when Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, rest in peace, like did that invasion angle. It don't get literally you're flipping back and forth, literally flipping back and forth nonstop to see like what's going on.
So I'm gonna come with a review of the '98 Royal Rumble event next week. I'm gonna let you know what it is. I'm gonna watch that one. It'll take me a time. It will take me a while to work my way through the whole year, but I'm gonna watch that one event this year. This week, and I'm gonna come let you know how I felt about it next week.
Bro, we can live view that. Like, you ain't saying nothing but a word on that, but I will watch that again in a heartbeat. Like I'm gonna watch it too. I'm gonna watch it too, and we gonna like come here next week and like just go over everything. Like that's my era. That's my favorite era. Like from '97 to like 05, 06ish. Man, it's a dog.
Word. I can dig it. I really did. I really am enjoying, what's going on. It is one of the just a tiny thing that just coming with age kind of happens to you. It's like I never went through the period of thinking it was all real. So I can see through the smoke and mirrors, as I'm watching it. And sometimes, like most of the times, that actually adds to the experience for me. But every now and again, I'm looking at something, I'm like, all right, bro, come on. You better do better.
Yeah. I think that's what ruined wrestling for me now. Cause I even back then, my dad, when I was like a little kid and was into it, this is back in like the Macho Man days, right? And he was like, look, son, you're like a fully grown man jumps off the top rope of a ring and puts his elbow right in under your chin, right? And you get up and do the same thing next week. Right? You're like, come on, it's not, come on, son. But even with that, no, it never during that era. It's you kind of knew that made that kind of like added to it a little bit too, because you knew like, oh, it's kind of like you knew the politics too, like when kayfabe was still a thing back then. But even like the smarks, I guess they call us, we kind of knew the politics and how things go, and like somebody like do a heel turn or something, and somebody like I don't know, like breaks out and makes a run for the title, and they're like, oh, well, no, he's gonna be next because like they really like him because they made him win like 3 matches in a row, and then they're gonna set him up for the title, that kind of thing. So yeah, it actually enhanced it. It didn't take away from it for me. For a lot of us, it didn't take away, but it was still that one guy that was like, it's still real to me, damn it.
Oh, really? But yeah, that whole like the fact that it dances that line. This is kind of what Super Eye Patch Wolf was talking about in this video. The fact that it dances that line, where like these people are playing characters, but because these are their professional jobs and a lot of contractual obligations and whatnot put them in certain situations.
Yeah.
A lot of times their real life issues or whatever kind of plays out on on the stage. You know what I mean? Like if he's mad, if a dude is mad about losing 6 times in a row, the character's mad because he's taking L's, but the guy playing the character is mad because he feels like the company is fucking him over.
Yeah.
With his actual paycheck. And I'm just like, it's so real fake. It's like you can't. I was explaining to my friend the other day, like it's so intertwined between what part of it is real and what part of it is fake that you can't even definitively say this is the real parts of it, this is the fake parts of it. I mean, like obviously these stunts are staged and everything like that, but when somebody jumps ship for you and goes to another company, you know what I mean? Like y'all were professional, whatever, and then your two characters meet in a ring for some kind of showdown or event, whatever. It's like part of you probably really feels hurt by this boy who walked out on you, to go pursue other. So it's like these characters hate each other, but these two real men probably have some unresolved feelings too. So it's just I think that's so cool.
I think the most infamous event where like the backstage literally spilled out in front of the camera, in front of everybody, is the Montreal Screwjob, which I'm sure you've heard about at least if you haven't seen it. So that's the most infamous thing where like you said, Bret Hart. I'm about to say Bret Favre. Damn, Bret Hart was leaving to go to WCW. Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels had issues at the moment, so Bret Hart wanted to keep the belt that night and then drop it on Raw the next night, and Vince McMahon was like, "No, we can't do that. In a way, he's right. That's kind of bullshit to do that on the pay-per-view. You know what I mean? Like, people paying to see this. Have Shawn win the belt, but Bret didn't want to do it. Vince McMahon just came out and said, "Ring the damn bell," and the rest is history. But the other incident is with the Hardy Boys, like Matt Hardy and Lita, who's still fine as hell. But they were together. They were like an actual couple at the time. And then Lita started sleeping with Edge. And so that whole like backstage thing actually played, they because Vince McMahon is an asshole. He said, "Oh, that's a good storyline." And so they had to actually like play out this whole thing in the ring in front of everybody,
Oh no, I'd have quit. You're not about to monetize my pain, bro. Like, no, chill.
Hey, to their credit, the consummate professionals, they worked that whole thing out. You know what I mean? And on stage, and I think Edge and Lita are still together. I think so.
Edge is with Beth.
Oh, he is? He's with Beth? Okay, so damn, it was a lose-lose. Damn, Lita. But
I like Beth.
She's cool. Beth Phoenix? Yeah. My cousin who's still like I won't say still, but he's like a super wrestling fan, right? I don't know, he's like into like muscular chicks or something. He loves Beth. And who's the other chick? He keeps talking Bianca Belair.
Yeah, that's a big bro.
That's but yeah, okay, yeah, no, that's dope. I can go back and watch that era of wrestling without an issue. Like, you ain't pulling my arm on there, buddy.
Word. I'm actually looking forward to doing that now, because I watched this Royal Rumble. This was my first one, and
this year's? I haven't seen this one. I gotta watch that. I haven't seen this one.
Word. I won't tell you. And then I went back and watched last year's, because I wanted some context for some of the beef that was going on when I had started, because it's like a soap opera. There's never really, like, whenever you jump in, you're jumping into the middle of something. You know what I mean? There really is no beginning. So yeah. I was just like, all right, let me see what's going on and how, yada yada. And it's amazing how much a year makes a difference in this world, because the people I've gotten to know over the last couple months, I turned on some episodes from last year. Their getup is different. Some of them got different names. People who are like best of friends now were like bitter rivals. Like, I'm like, yo, what the fuck happened in 365 days? Shit.
Yeah, they got to keep rebranding. They got to keep people's attentions. I think that's the worst business to be in the social media age. Because everybody knows it's a work. Everybody knows it's fake, but you got to stay engaged, and people's attention spans are super, super short. Yeah, that's a rough business to be in. But even if you're not watching it, like Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, and like SummerSlams are like the three you can just pop in and see, because it's always kind of worth watching those three pay-per-views. But all right, yeah, that's cool. I don't know what else. The only other thing probably be the Chris Rock special that came out. I've heard like what everybody's talking about, basically,
Word.
And I don't think he went hard enough, honestly.
I watched it yesterday. Yeah, I just turned it on. I watched it. I don't really have strong feelings about it. You know what I mean? Like, I see like people online that are like really going off on both sides. And as per usual, what everybody said it was ain't what it is. Like, I came across this post where they were like, oh, this is misogyny or whatever. Will Smith is the one that hit him, but all he did was punch at Jada. And I watched it. First off, he doesn't even get into it until the last 5 minutes of the damn special.
Right.
Second, I don't know what you were watching, people who are saying this, but I'm not saying he ain't saying nothing about Jada. I'm not saying he didn't say a lot about Jada, but he clearly came after Will. Like clearly was bucking aim. Like I ain't heard that many bitches in that short of time span since what's that nigga's name with the robe? Hugh Hefner.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, I don't the rest of it though, like the thing was that was the appeal for me watching it was when he came out with the press release, he was like, I'm gonna address it. I just wanted to see what he had to say.
Yeah, everybody did. Yeah.
The rest of it, it wasn't not funny, but it wasn't hilarious. Like I've never really found Chris Rock to be hilarious. I think he's entertaining.
What? Oh, he in the 90s, man, he was killing everything.
Maybe it's cool for me.
Was it bigger and blacker or something like that? That whatever that special was, killed it. Oh, like I love black people, but I can't stand them niggas. You know, like yeah, that whole set is just like classic. That killed me every time.
I mean, I can dig it. I just like I said, I think he's funny. I think he's entertaining. I just don't think he's like, you know, gut busting hilarious. So I watched it all, and I didn't regret it. And I really wish these things weren't such hot button topics. Like not just in the sense that everything gets so polarized now. Like literally everything is a war, and that shit is exhausting. It's like everybody want to have a think piece about everything that everybody says. I'm just like, like, and I remember I saw somebody make a post, and he said, black men when you say something is racist and white people tell you that's not racist, you know that upsets you. So please don't tell us black women when something isn't misogynoir if we say it's misogynoir. And I just remember reading that and I was like, all right. And I didn't engage. And I know the person, but I didn't engage because I just didn't want any conflict at the moment. I actually had a lot of conflict yesterday and I just didn't want any more. So I was like, I'm just gonna let this slide. Well, not let it slide. I'm just gonna let it lie. But I remember like looking at it, and I had said this when the Oscar thing happened last year. I was like, all right, this happened between two dudes. Regardless of why it happened, whether it was justified, who did what, who said what, this happened between two dudes. And every guy who gave their 2 cents about what this was, what was actually going on between these two men, like trying to break down their psychology and what this was really about, yada, yada, yada. Because we've all seen niggas get into it. You know what I mean? Everyone who was saying things like that were being overshadowed by women who were like, oh no, it was actually about this, that, and the third, and it's just that, like all the terms and everything like that. And I was like, are you telling me that the dude's opinion on how dudes are acting and why they may be acting that way is the secondary opinion in this situation? You know what I mean? Like, you don't think it's strange that the women have the authority opinion of what happened between two men? I mean, I'm not saying that their points weren't valid to any degree, but I just remember
you are opening Pandora's box.
I know.
you are treading on dangerous territory.
Yes, I am. I just remember, but I bring it up because it's interesting how that's flipped now, because the plea was for men to bend the knee to women's, not like this is something that happens to women. So let us tell you what's going on with the women. Listen to our stories and everything. And I'm fine with hearing that. I think that women should be the expert opinion on women's shit. But by that same token, I think men should be the expert opinion on men's shit. So
said by a man who has never been married.
Okay, fair enough. But like, I don't.
No, I feel you. That's, man, God, like I said, you're cracking open Pandora's box, and there's a whole side of the internet that is like this whole men's right, or the men are the prize kind of thing that this like leads into, kind of. But
I'm not into all that. they're too far. You know what I mean? They're way too far on that
Yeah,
side. Like
it's like you have a point, but I can't go all the way out to outer space with you. You know what I mean? But like, there's something there, but you're bugging. You're going way too far. But I, especially with the Will and Jada thing, because the Will and Jada thing is, for me, is one of those things where women should really, what's the right word? Take note, or uh just kind of take a view of what just happened, and how that happened, and how that escalated, and how you can destroy a man you quote unquote love and support
systematically, like step by
you
step,
know,
bro.
like, if you say you love and support your guy, your husband, but your actions are really fucked up, and can make a said person's life very hard. But and that's the only thing, like, for the, because it really it's a man's thing. It's a man, like, okay, you got to check your life at a certain point. You got to check your relationships at a certain point. You know, because next thing you know, you on stage in front of millions of people slapping the shit out of some guy who had nothing to do with nothing. Because your household is just not in check. You know what I mean? And yeah, I don't want to go into, like, especially me in my situation right now.
I I
You
feel you.
know,
I don't.
it's
Yeah, we don't need to dog on anybody. I just wanted to give that quick tidbit because I don't think that anything that I saw was worth, like, in that special, was worth this much ire on either side online. Like I don't understand. Like it sounds to me like on one side it sounds like people are like, well, comedy is only funny if you're telling jokes about dead babies and pedophiles and war crimes. And then on the, like, they just want raw, like super raw, like just out there humor. And then on the
what
other side,
psychopaths are these? Like, that's none of that's funny.
you see some crazy shit on the internet. But on the other side, there's a bunch of people who are like, anything more than a knock knock joke is offensive. Like both of these camps exist.
I
And I'm
know.
like, I don't think that you can really like the idea that like a joke is only funny if it's not at somebody's expense. I don't know where that idea came from, but almost everything that you could find funny is at someone's expense. Like somebody
Yeah,
is the punchline of
yeah,
almost every situation. It's very hard to have it because like any group could raise their hand and be like, hey yo, like I don't like how you just talked about, you know, whatever. Like, but instead of doing that, which would be exhausting. And I'm not saying that sometimes people don't cross lines or whatever like that, but I take two things into consideration. Number one, um, this is a paid platform. By definition, you have to actively seek out being here. You know what I mean? So like it doesn't just get put in front of your face and it's something you weren't ready for and yada yada yada. It's like they tell you up front, if you want to be in here, you pay me this amount of money, you come to this location, you sit in this room for this long. So you don't accidentally end up there. Like unless somebody, threw you a surprise, they bought you a gift, they didn't tell you where you were going or anything like that. But generally
right.
speaking, you turn on Netflix. Like if it's on Netflix, you turn on Netflix, you sign in, you're scrolling through, you see that, you click on it, you say, okay, I'm going to watch it. You see the rating, it's usually A.N.A. It tells you there's going to be the little summary at the on the special tells you a little bit about what they're going to be getting into and everything like
Right.
that. And I know that this is like one of those trigger things to say, but there is a certain amount of truth to, if you not fucking with it, turn it off. Like
People want the outrage, they want the likes, they want the views, they want the clicks. They need to be outraged. I am upset and outraged at all. And I think, like, I think it's coming full circle too, where all these like hypersensitive, always outraged like trolls are going to start getting like so much heat and people are just going to start rolling their eyes and just ignoring them. because it is ridiculous nowadays. Like everything, you outraged at everything. Like, come on, bro. You know what I mean?
I,
But
I remember I got so mad years back. I got so mad at the idea of the show Lucifer. Like when they pitched it, I remember just being so upset, right? And I was like, yo, this is crazy. This is like that they're making this or whatever. And I spent a lot of time being pissed off that that show existed. And then one day I just kind of woke up and realized I'm not watching it. Like it's enough that I'm not contributing to something I don't agree with.
right.
And that that was that. Like people come to me and like not like a whole bunch. I'm not saying like people are constantly hounding me, but I have a couple friends in my circle who have attempted to pitch me that show. And I have conceded on several occasions that based on how they're describing it, it sounds narratively interesting. Like it's like a good philosophical question. Well, what if Lucifer isn't the dick that the Bible says he is, and what if God is maybe a little darker than the Bible alludes to him being? Like it's like on paper, asking the question is interesting, but I'm too rooted in my faith to.
Yo, that is so on brand for what a show called Lucifer would be. Like that's all I would expect. Like Lucifer's not a bad guy. He's okay.
Yeah. And I'm just like, you have to understand, while I have moved past the fact, past the anger of trying to, of being offended that this thing exists, you have to understand that if I'm someone who truly embraces this faith, truly to my core believes in this, then like Lucifer is the ultimate evil in my world. So trying to get me to buy into an idea that the ultimate evil might just be misunderstood. If you take any generational evil and try to get whatever group was terrorized by that evil to have a conversation with you about, well, maybe he wasn't that bad, you're gonna run into problems. You know what I mean? So it's just like, go ahead and watch it if you want, and let the show win as many awards as you want. And I'll never say it's a bad show because I haven't seen it. I don't have the authority to say that. But by its pure inception, you'll never be able to get me to watch it. And it's just like I said, it's enough for me to just sidestep it. I just don't get why like there has to be this, and I don't mean like, oh, why don't you like me? I just mean like I genuinely do not understand anymore because my mind just doesn't work that way. I don't understand. Even looking back, I don't understand why it took me so long to wake up and realize I could just not watch the show. So I don't understand why everybody just.
Well, I don't know. I hated that it existed. I've always hated that show existed, because of course we want to have a show called Lucifer, but if we have a show called like Moses or or God or something like that, they put the same emphasis on, hey, maybe God isn't as the black and white or static as everybody makes him out to be. Maybe he's a relatively cool, normal-ish, entity that comes and walks around and helps people every now and then. It goes on adventures and stuff, right? We can't have that show, but we could damn sure have a show about the devil that does that. Like he's an okay guy, you know what I mean? But that the whole idea of that is, yeah, that's. I mean, we're in the devil's playground, so of course he's going to be like, oh, I'm not that bad. Don't listen to those Christians, don't listen to those Bible people. Come on, man. No, come on. Just sit down, chill out, watch a show, hang out with me. Right. Yeah, I know. I feel you, but again, I've never watched it either. Never had an interest. Always hated it existed. But again, it's like I never engaged with it, even because it was on Fox for like a long time. And I mean, I would roll my eyes at it every time like a commercial or something would pop up or like something would come up. And it's just like, yeah, of course. But yeah, it's just, I never hopped on Facebook and said, this show is an abomination. They should all like, why are you putting that much energy into this?
I literally never made a comment about it to anybody who didn't ask, except you. Like this is the first time I think I've ever voluntarily talked about it. And it was only because it was on brand.
And it's people want attention. They want attention. They'll hop on Twitter and like, you know, rag on it, hashtag it to death. You know, they'll hop on Facebook, write this damn post on there. You know, yeah, they'll make a YouTube video saying, but it's just like, I mean, yeah, I hear you, I understand you, but you're putting so much energy in a TV show, right? What are you doing in your community or church or something to like spread, or on your own time to like spread the gospel, spread the good word, talk about God, like, you know, show people like the light in the right way. You know, to me, that's what you should spend most of your energy on, not just like hopping on Twitter to like scream at random strangers who really you don't know any of these people.
Bookmark that, because next time we do this, next time we have an episode, I have a story about that where I had an opportunity to open my mouth and I didn't do it, and it wasn't like on some like, I was actually invited to speak on it, and I couldn't find the nerve to really get into it. And I would like to tell you that story. I would like to talk about that because it's just, you know, it's a good. What are you doing to spread it, even when you're given a clear opportunity? It's like, why didn't you take it? So, yeah.
Nice. All right. Yeah, we got 2 minutes left. I mean, we could. Yeah, that's an excellent point to end it off of. So, chime in next week. It's a riveting story on the next edition of the A.N.A. podcast. This has been Alex Mack, and we're here with my boy once again,
Alex Hood.
All right, man. We will see y'all next week, and be sure to follow us on YouTube. What's the slash? What's it? A.N.A. podcast.
Yeah.
It's A.N.A. podcast is somewhere in there. Follow the descriptions. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook. I think that's all we got. But
everything except Apple. Fuck Apple.
Yeah, and on the podcast, but everything except for Apple Podcasts. But yeah, we will catch y'all next week. And till then, peace.
Later.
Yeah, that's dope. I like these.